Hey guys, how you doing? This is MMPR594 and I'm bringing you today to the channel part 2 of my Sega Mega Drive versus Super Nintendo video. Now, in part 1 I compared both systems, I compared the controllers, the games, then I played Mario and Sonic, I played the two Turtle games, and in this video I'm going to bring you three Power Ranger videos, three Power Ranger games. And then I'm going to give the sound, the graphics, and then I'm going to discuss a few games that I don't have that both on the Sega, and after that there I'm going to discuss what games are great on the Super Nintendo, what games are great on the Mega Drive, and then after that I'm going to give my conclusion to the video and then pick my winner at the end of it. So going to get my systems plugged in and start it up, and then I'll get to it and get these games going. So enjoy guys. Right, I want you to listen to the differences between the two tunes when I play both games. Listen to that. Sounds amazing. That's just the sound quality of the Super Nintendo. Right, that's going to conclude the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for Super Nintendo. Right, I'm going to switch over to the Mega Drive and play the Mega Drive version. Just listen to that. It's pure rubbish compared to the Super Nintendo. I apologise if it looks crap. It's just I'm playing off an old RF lead, as the Sega Mega Drive only runs through RF. There's no SCART for it. Well, in Europe anyway. Oh, that sound graphics so bad. Right, well, that's the Sega version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and as you can see, it's not the best of fighting games. It's not bad, but there's a lot better fighting games out there, and there's a lot better Power Ranger fighting games. So Definitely the Super Nintendo got the better bunch of Power Ranger games. Right, I will move on to the Fighting Edition game on the Super Nintendo. I have to show you this to compare it with this because it's also a fighting game and it's just 10 times better. Never thought for a fighting game, huh? Definitely Super Nintendo got the better games, I tell you. Right, well that's going to conclude the gameplay part of this video. I think definitely the Super Nintendo definitely got the better Power Ranger games. So definitely that's definitely a far better fighting game than the Power Rangers game on the Sega Mega Drive. Right, so I will shut down the systems and then I will discuss the graphics. Right, so before I move on to discuss the graphics of both systems, I'm going to show you something that I forgot to do in part one. Is the way the cartridges go in. The Super Nintendo has an eject button and the Sega doesn't. Now I think this is a nice wee feature in the Super Nintendo. So simple is, you just put the cartridge in and it locks and it doesn't come out, and to get it you just push the eject button and it comes out. And if you look, you'll see a wee groove, and whenever you slot that in, the wee bit comes out and it won't come out until you hit the eject button, which is a nice wee feature on the Super Nintendo. As in, for example, the Mega Drive, you just put the cartridge in, like so, and you just pull it out again, which isn't as fun or neat as the Super Nintendo. So I just thought I'd throw that into the video because I left it out of part one. So I'll now move on to discussing the graphics. Right, so to discuss graphically between the two systems now, 1990, video games obviously, they weren't as high def or high tech as video games are today. But for the Sega and the Sega and the Super Nintendo, the graphics were decent for their time. The Sega Mega Drive's graphics, in my opinion, I think they were kind of dark and grainy. As in the Super Nintendo colours were just so bright and the graphics look amazing. Like, I mean, you've got so many games. I mean, you've got Super Mario World. It's so colourful and it's just so beautiful to look at. As in the Sega Mega Drive, the graphics are more, they're blurry, they're grainier, they're darker, they're just not as sharp and clear as in the Super Nintendo. You switch it on and you just get a full blast of colours, and it's absolutely amazing for its time. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. Obviously now it doesn't, compared to the HD graphics of today, but still, even today, the graphics still hold out on the Super Nintendo. I think it's just the colours. Like, it's a very, 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 very colourful and beautiful system. When you put the game in, it's absolutely fantastic. As in the Sega Mega Drive, the graphics, they're still good. I mean, they're still okay, but compared to Super Nintendo, I have to give the graphics victory to Super Nintendo, just because I think it's more colourful and it's a pleasure to look at. As in the Sega Genesis, I keep wanting to say Genesis because that's what it's called in America. The Sega Mega Drive it's more grainy and darker, and I'm giving that one to Super Nintendo. Right, I'm going to do sound now, and sound, I'm going to be very brief doing sound, because as you've seen there, in part one and in part two, you can't really tell the difference between Super Mario World and Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog is the best of bad sound, if you know what I mean. The Sega Mega Drive sound is absolutely appalling, and if you go back to the Power Ranger games, just the difference between the Power Ranger theme tune in the Fighting Edition and the normal side-scrolling game compared to the Sega version, it's just night and day. Absolutely night and day. But saying that, there are a few games on the Sega Mega Drive that sound amazing, but still not as good as the Super Nintendo. Golden Axe 2 and the Sonic the Hedgehog games, the music is fantastic, but for the rest of the games, it's usually generally rubbish. I'll give you a huge example. There's a good game called Rock and Roll Racing, and it's on both platforms. And the sound quality of Rock and Roll Racing in the Super Nintendo, it's able to play the music, and it's good rock and roll music, and the commentator says stuff during the race, you can actually hear it. As in the Sega, what happens is the music's very grainy and not very good, and then when the commentator speaks, the music cuts out. So that's a prime example of how good the sound is on the Super Nintendo. So I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to give this one to Super Nintendo. Don't get me wrong, some things on the Super Nintendo do sound good. Like it has that classic arcade sort of style of sound in it, but the Super Nintendo just knocks it out of the water. So I'll have to give that one to Super Nintendo. Right, I'm now going to move on to my conclusion and what I think of both systems and what system deserves to win. So I'll move on to conclusion. Well, I finally got to the conclusion of the video. The Super Nintendo and the Sega Mega Drive are great systems. I mean, the Sega Mega Drive is not crap by any means. I just don't think it's as good as the Super Nintendo, and here's my reasons why. The Super Nintendo, I think it's got better first party titles because there's Super Mario World, there's Super Metroid, there's Zelda Link to the Past, there's Star Fox, what other Nintendo exclusives is there? But I just think it has better first party support. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first party support in the Sega Mega Drive is good too, because you've got the Sonic games, you've got the Streets of Rage series, you've got Golden Axe, you've got Super Hang-On, you've got the Revenge of Shinobi. So those games are pretty decent, but I just think Nintendo have slightly better first party games. Another thing I think that makes the Super Nintendo better is the controller. Just the controller was such a letdown for the Mega Drive. I mean, the Super Nintendo controller, D-pad, 4 buttons, the shoulder buttons to start and select. You can't go wrong with that. So that's not a reason. So the controller, the first party games, see, the sound, the sound is 100% in Super Nintendo's favour. Because the sound is just absolutely rubbish on the Mega Drive, to be honest. And graphically, the Super Nintendo is just slightly better, but I can't really compare them because it's really color-wise, really. But they're still, you know. So really, so the Super Nintendo, because of the controller, the sound, and looks. But I will say, Sega did try a couple of that sort of the dirty sort of tactics to sort of compete with them. You know, you obviously know about the famous Genesis Does commercial. You know, whenever they were competing with Nintendo, they made a commercial where it says Genesis does what Nintendo don't. I mean, it's completely silly. And then whenever the Super Nintendo come out, they took another cheap shot at the Super Nintendo where the advert was they compared Sonic the Hedgehog to Mario Kart. I mean, come on, it's the exact same game. It's two completely different games, you know, and they took such a cheap shot at Super Mario Kart, which is one of the best games on the Super Nintendo. And this one was the Sega Genesis has blast processing, the Super Nintendo doesn't. Now let me explain what blast processing is. It just basically means the Sega Mega Drive has a slightly higher speed processor, but that doesn't even make any difference to the hardware at all. But I thought I would just mention that. I mean, blast processing. It just means it's slightly quicker. Right, so in my conclusion, the Super Nintendo is better than the Sega Mega Drive for the simple reason is it's got a better controller, it's got better sound, it's got better first party games. Yep, I think that's the three main reasons. Better controller, better first party games, and Oh yeah, and sound. So sound, controller, and the best first party games. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certain different types of gamers. If you're a sports fan, then the Sega Mega Drive is right up your street because it's got loads of football games, American football games, it's got loads of basketball games and everything. So if you're a sports fan, the Mega Drive is for you. If you're an adventure fan or like your RPGs, the Super Nintendo is for you because it's got Final Fantasy VI, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger. The amount of RPGs that are on the Super Nintendo is absolutely amazing. So if you like sports, if you like sports, the Sega Drive Mega Drive for you. And if you like if you like RPGs and fantasy games, then the Super Nintendo's for you. Right, so before I wrap up the end of the video, I'm going to discuss a couple of the games that you've certain games on the Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo that were on both, like Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, some other games like that. Street Fighter is definitely the better game on Street Fighter is for Super Nintendo because the style of the controller, the music's better, and there's so many versions of it, like turbo and stuff, but the speed's quicker. As in the Mega Drive, there's only one game, Street Fighter 2, New Challenge or something, and I have played it. It's nowhere near as good. So I recommend if you're going to play Street Fighter, play it on the Super Nintendo. And then, for example, there's a couple of Disney games like Aladdin, and from what I believe, the Aladdin version on the Mega Drive is better than the Super Nintendo version. But then I'm not really a big fan of those sort of games. But to my understanding, Aladdin is better. The Aladdin Mega Drive version is better than the Super Nintendo version. The only thing in the Sega's favour with Mortal Kombat is it's a lot more violent. Nintendo has a habit of having a lot of censors and censorship and stuff. So when Mortal Kombat came out, they took away the blood and some of the gore and violence and stuff, as in on the Mega Drive. And there's the violence and the blood still in it. But I think in Mortal Kombat 2 on the Super Nintendo, the violence and gore and blood's back. But for Mortal Kombat 1, it's better on the Mega Drive because there's blood and violence and gore, as in the Super Nintendo version they took it out. But I've played Mortal Kombat and I'm just not a big fan of it. It's too hard for my liking. At the end of the day, I think if you're going to play a fighting game, Street Fighter 2, it's so much better than Mortal Kombat. So I think that's all I have to say on this Versus series. I really hope you have enjoyed this. But unfortunately, for Sega fans, I'm going to give the win to Super Nintendo. Just for the simple reason it's got a better controller, it's got the sound is far better, and I can never remember the third one. Sound, controller, and the first party games. So don't get me wrong, I love both systems by all means, I really do. If you're a video game collector, I recommend having both. But I just think the Super Nintendo is just that slightly wee bit better. I love both systems, but the Super Nintendo is better. And it is considered, in my eyes, as one of the greatest game consoles ever made. And the Sega Mega Drive is a decent wee system too, but unfortunately it falls second to the Super Nintendo in my eyes. So that concludes my video of the Super Nintendo versus the Sega Mega Drive. I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Subscribe to my channel, like this video, like the channel, and leave a comment under this video so you can let me know what you think, because I love getting feedback from you guys, because I love making these videos. I really get a good kick out of it and enjoy and fun doing these videos. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I mean, it's took me a long time to do this, but I finally got around to doing it, and I really hope you enjoy it. So I will see you guys around, and thank you for watching and continue to support my channel. So I'll see you guys around.